We live in an era where 4K drone footage of a remote coastline is always a few clicks away, and AI can summarize the cultural history of a continent in seconds. Information has become frictionless. In the 1950s, that friction was absolute. There was no global network to query. If you wanted to understand a place, you navigated a world of fractured infrastructure where a single letter home could take 15 days to cross an ocean. The Malayalam writer S.K. Pottakkat traveled into this silence. He bypassed the lack of data by physically moving through the world, surviving starvation and hostile environments to gather knowledge that only exists at the point of impact. For the analog explorer, understanding wasn't a file to be accessed. It was a physical state achieved through risk and total immersion. In February 1953, Pottakkat began a voyage toward Java, Indonesia, documenting his observations from the deck of a passenger ship. In his bag, he carried a specific tool for interpreting the journey, a copy of The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. He treated the novel as a framework for the human behavior unfolding around him, using Hemingway's prose to categorize the movements and motivations of his fellow passengers. Pottakkat saw literature as a way to calibrate the senses, providing a scale to measure the overwhelming reality of the open sea. Pottakat's book described the fisherman Santiago, trapped in a multi-day battle against a massive marlin while drifting alone in a small skiff. The narrative lingers on the physical wreckage of the man, his bleeding hands, his cramped muscles, and the exhaustion that comes from a struggle with no witness. Pottakkat looked up from these pages, turning his gaze away from the upper cabins toward the ordinary travelers on the working-class deck. He recorded the specific lives gathered there: Tukiman, a Sumatran laborer; Rujito, a soldier; a woman sleeping in a red silk dress, and another with crossed eyes, watching the waves. On this deck, Pottakkat found a floating microcosm of the human condition, where the quiet, daily survival of the passengers mirrored the mythic endurance of Hemingway's fishermen. Human struggle eventually collides with the violent physics of the planet itself. As Pottakat's ship moved through the Sunda Strait, he noted the presence of the Krakatoa volcano, the site of the catastrophic 1883 eruption. This animated map shows the scale of the initial explosion, which effectively deleted the surrounding islands and local coastlines from the map. Pottakkat recorded the immediate human cost: 3,600 people killed instantly as the mountainside collapsed into the sea. The acoustic shockwave was so massive that it pulsed across the ocean and was heard by people 3,000 miles away. While Santiago fought a fish, the people of the Java Sea lived at the mercy of the Earth's internal pressures, a reminder of how quickly nature can reclaim the space humans occupy. Pottakkat synthesized these three views: the endurance in the novel, the resilience of the travelers on his deck, and the historical fragility of life in the shadow of Krakatoa. He concluded that regardless of the scale, whether it's a single man in a boat or a society facing a volcano, the core human response to an indifferent world is a relentless refusal to stop. In our era, we can access the facts of his journey in seconds, but we often miss the depth of his perspective. By standing on the same salt-caked deck as Tukiman and Rujito while contemplating Santiago's bleeding hands, Pottakkat found a connective tissue that a search engine cannot replicate. Human life remains small against the backdrop of an indifferent planet. It takes the slow, deliberate work of analog observation to reveal the courage required just to exist within that scale.